with her big dumb face.
The longest opening sequence.
It's Alice Midlife Crisis.
Oh my god, it's so good, guys.
We're not told that. Yeah, we do. We're not told that. It is written. It is written. Hello.
What's up?
Oh, hello.
What are you doing, McCurdy?
I'm
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing what?
Why are you sitting outside of a barn?
This is my in-laws' house while I'm in the middle of production of a film, so
They
I
live in a
wasn't able
barn?
to see the movie this week. No, I mean it's probably just
you
the backside of the
slacker.
house looks like that.
You
I know.
slacker piece
Sorry,
of
guys.
poop.
I had to actually spend 2 weeks making a feature film. So
It
that's
actually, you know what? It's a
lame.
really good thing. It's a really good thing that this happened because the cast on this is out of control. It's outrageous how many stars are in this movie, and you would need like 30 slides to tell that story.
True.
So
That's
we're
probably a
just
good idea.
nixing that whole thing. Hey, look, a
Right.
bunch of famous people that you already know. Moving on.
Beautiful, love it.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get right to it on my end, and then and you don't care about spoilers. I mean, it's like there aren't
He does.
spoilers in a movie like this, really. You know,
That's true.
it's not like
mean,
it's
I
like
just know-
so. It turns out so and so is the murderer. There's none of that, so it's really not a
Okay.
big deal.
Oh, okay.
So I will just do my thing then, fellas.
All
Let
right.
me reconfigure this effing screen. Oh wait, that's not it. That's not it either. There we go. Okay. Just barely cutting off Scarlet Joe's face. Oh god, I have stomach acid from drinking too much this weekend. And sipping
Speaking
this
of which.
whiskey. I'm about to go on a 10-day break. My sister and I were like, let's not drink for 10 days because
That's interesting. Jessica and I are talking about doing something in July, like
yeah.
a diet or something. Like, I'm not gonna drink beer. I was like, oh, I kind of have to drink during the streams. I feel like I should, so I bought
They
some-
just
bought
slip a
some bourbon.
polar in there, you know, whatever. I mean, like seltzer water. And
Yeah,
none of
so
it.
I'll have to
then
figure
we
out
just
some sort of
pretend.
meal plan.
Then just pretend. Just pretend you're just wasted. That's what I usually do. I actually have never drank a drop in my life. I'm really good at pretending. Okay. New Wes Anderson. All right. Asteroid City may in fact be Wes Anderson's most Wes Anderson film yet, not just because every character has his trademarked idiosyncrasies and awkwardness while his camera behaves like another quirky character in the story, but specifically because it is a movie about a hyper-realized stage play titled Asteroid City, which is what most of his movies have been up to this point, only this time he's admitting it outright by building it into a meta-play story structure. This also makes it his most self-indulgent film because not only is it dripping in his style, but ultimately the movie is about himself, represented by the writer and director of the play. Several times in the film, a character literally exits the play to go ask him what the meaning of the play is, and he says he has no idea. He just writes things and then they happen. I guess this is one of those life is about the journey, not the destination types of movies. Meh. It's certainly an enjoyable film, so if you're really... It's certainly an enjoyable film, so if you really need a grand purpose to it all, Asteroid City exists to serve as an excuse for Wes to once again get all of his favorite actors together to have a good time and deliver humor as dry as the desert they're all trapped in. So I guess just accept it and try to enjoy the ride. Unfortunately, it's not that simple because all of the aforementioned meta stuff that specifically makes the movie about Mr. Anderson is precisely what weighs it down, making it, and I hate to say it, an undercooked story. I would have much preferred Mr. Anderson leave himself and the meta play stuff out of it and focus the story solely on the events of Asteroid City itself.
Yeah.
Hopefully that clarifies, like, mostly it's like it's enjoyable,
Yeah.
but it feels incomplete.
What's
And
the
it feels
story? So what's
weighed
the
down by its own structure, which is really unfortunate. This movie probably should have been 3 hours long, you know, but we'll
Yeah.
get into why.
Yeah, this for me. I mean, I usually come in knowing a lot more about this stuff, but just for Nan's sake, what you need to know about Wes Anderson, essentially, he was a filmmaker from Texas. Him and Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, they were all friends, including the Wilson's other brother, They made a movie called Bottle Rocket back, and I think it was like 97, 99. My daughter's looking at me really creepily. That was like his first film that he made, but that film was not. It's not as Wes Anderson-y as like most of his other films because he was still trying to develop a style. I think around the time when he made Royal Tenenbaums, that's when a lot of people really caught his eye onto him. But even his second movie, which was Rushmore, which is about a kid in a school who he's not good at school, but he was like really good at every extracurricular activity that they had at the school, every club.
He was like crushing on his teacher, right?
Yeah, he
That's like the
crushes
main
on his
thing.
teacher.
Yeah.
And in that movie, it's sort of what when you said about the play and stuff, that reminded me of that. Because Wes Anderson in that movie, that character Rushmore, he creates the character's not named Rushmore, is it? Anyway, he writes a play.
I think
that
that's
one as well.
the school. I think
The school's name's Rushmore. That's
Rushmore.
right. The character in the movie, though, he one of the things he does is he creates this play. But I think from what I remember reading, that it is semi-autobiographical, that he would like make plays and stuff, and that's how he kind of got to start doing creative stories and things like that. But all of his movies have that dry sense of humor. They have a very storybook way of telling them, essentially. Like that's why everything's framed a certain way. I mean, there's now hundreds and hundreds of millions. What am I saying? Hundreds, millions of TikTok memes and everything.
I can't help but sometimes there's like synchronicities, right, where Hollywood will come out with the same thing at the same time. Like classic examples are Armageddon and Deep Impact, or like The Prestige and The Illusionist. Like it's like so-and-so says that they're working on a magician movie, so we'll put out our own magician movie,
right.
That type of stuff. And with this, it's like you had two things at once. You had, Nolan is working on a atom bomb movie, so let's do an atom bomb story, roughly like in the desert where they're testing bombs, which is ultimately irrelevant to the story somewhat, but still fun. I mean, that's the whole thing, is this movie's fun, but you're like I see what you're going for, but anyway, we'll get into it.
Did you see his last movie?
Specifically though, it's like, no, I'm going to do what Nolan's doing, and I'm going to do what Spielberg's doing. Spielberg's making a movie about himself. I'll make a movie about myself, but there's just not enough of that. There either should have been those, and you'll understand when you see it, but the whole thing is that like it starts with here's a play, there's a host who is, let's say he's like that godlike character, he's just the host, he's played by Bryan Cranston, and he introduces the idea of here's a playwright, and the playwright's about to introduce his play, and then the playwright, who is Ed Norton, stands up and kind of reads off like, here's the setting, right? This is, and then here are the players in the play, and they lay it all out, and that's all done in black and white and 4:3, and then suddenly we're in Asteroid City, and that's what I was saying. It was like it's this hyper realized, it's a film, but it's, the whole thing is like all of his movies have always had a feeling of like a high school play that suddenly had a ton of money, and then that is filmed, right? Like that's the feeling they all have. Like I don't know anything about his background. That's my first time hearing what you just said, but it totally makes sense, where it's like, he was like a young playwright / director or something, and then it's that same feel of like whatever, like cheap looking bushes, but it's got that quirky, almost plastic look to it. Everything looks like it's a stage play. I'm talking in circles, but with this though, it's like, no, it is a play. It is a play, but it's hyper realized. And so the Asteroid City stuff is a play that's going on, and everybody in it is an actor. But you're not thinking that as you're watching it. But then occasionally they jump back to the black and white stuff where the actors are talking, or the directors talking to the actors, or whatever it may be. But like, there either should have been a lot more of that, or there should have been none of that. My vote would be do none of that, and just do like every other movie you've done, where you bring us to a place that is just like hyper real. It's like somewhat magical.
The thing is, he's done. I mean, obviously, I can't weigh in on how I thought about the movie because I didn't see it. But He has done. I mean, most of the last 4 or 5 movies he's done, they've had this kind of story within a story within a story device. So, like his last movie was The French Dispatch. That film in itself was more of like a anthology, if you will, because it was about a newspaper in France, but like every story, every movie and within the movie was all authored by different people of that newspaper, and so
Okay. I
that is
actually
how they
didn't see
told that
that.
story.
I
And
when did that
then
even come out?
I haven't even
it
heard
was
of it.
it was like 2 years ago. It was literally
Okay.
2 years ago. I mean, it was right during the pandemic. I think that
Yeah.
may be the reason why maybe you forgot about it. But that one came out kind of right at 2021. The
I
next
thought I'd
one that
seen
he
all of
did
his movies, and now
prior,
I'm like, oh, one came out
the
that I didn't know
one he
anything about.
did that prior to that one, I believe, was Isle of Dogs, and I think in that film they also do something with I mean, he does a lot of storybook narration type
Isle of
things.
Dogs kind of
That
looks
one,
like that Fantastic Mr. Fox.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was the second animated film. Now, Isle of Dog takes place in Japan, and Jens, you probably know more about this than I do, but I've been watching a lot of like Japanese um, stuff recently, and like one of the things that I don't know if it's just kind of a specific Japanese thing, but they would have like a narrator talking about a story, and then they would cut back to the story itself. So I think he's like, what I think is that
I
I think
wouldn't
Wes
know.
Anderson's very much aware of that element in different cultures of having a storyteller within the actual story that you're telling.
Which is
And
fine.
if that
Totally
doesn't,
fine.
yeah,
This
right,
was
but
so unfocused, and
yeah,
pretty much none of those scenes had an ultimate purpose.
right. But he's been playing. I feel
and
like he's just playing with that element a lot more lately. I mean,
yeah,
even Budapest Hotel, like I think that was for a lot of people. I think that's maybe one of
I
his
like
best
that
movies
I
he's
think
done.
that's his masterpiece.
His
I think
masterpiece,
that's his
and
best.
that one at least he does it very interesting. It's all through the author, but it's through somebody who's interviewing somebody who interviewed the person who actually had all these events. So it's like a
Yeah,
story within a story within a story.
yeah.
And I mean, but like again, when I saw French Dispatch, I thought that movie didn't feel like the best film of his. It was more just like, let me play with the medium a little bit. Let me try something a little different. Instead of trying to tell a coherent, like specific one like narrative story. It's like I want to do a story that's kind of like this, but I also want to do this story, and I also want to do this story. And so like I felt like he was combining 3 or 4 different stories into one. I don't know if maybe that's where this one doesn't really land with people. I know like what was the one that he did prior to Budapest, Moonrise Kingdom. I don't know. I've heard people not like Moonrise Kingdom that much as well. Like
Yeah,
that was another
it's all
one.
right.
Yeah, that's another one
The
that
whole
some
thing
people
is
are
that,
like.
who just said that? I think K1 said I'm a sucker for his style, and me too. When this movie started, I'm just grinning because it really is. It's so unique. For me, I do love it, but part of me is always irked because working in advertising, every fucking creative is always like, do it like Wes Anderson. Like all anybody ever wants to do is rip off Wes Anderson, and
Right.
you can see why, because it's so insane. Like the way I've always thought about
It's
it
unique, that's for sure. It's like
yeah,
clearly Wes Anderson. When you see
yeah.
it, it's like that's Wes.
I would almost rather or not rather. I'd love if somebody challenged him to just make a movie that he didn't write. Like Wes Anderson makes the new Batman movie. And I know that's like a meme joke with AI generators and
Right.
stuff. Like what if he made Lord of the Rings? But could he get away from his own style for 5 minutes? Because we've talked about this before. He makes great movies, Tarantino, all these auteurs. They make great movies, but sometimes the movie becomes about them too much. And that was what I felt with this. I was like, you're putting yourself in the movie a little too much. I would love if this was just Asteroid City and none of the black and white, meta play stuff. Because again, either needed more of it or none of it. Because
what's the story of Asteroid City though? That's the question I have.
Okay, so
because you really haven't landed on that. You just kind of
there's
saying
not a whole lot to it. Now I will say, like,
let's go through it. So Nan,
I enjoyed it.
Quick,
it's
Nan,
delightful and
do your
quirky.
thing.
Yeah, delightful, quirky. Wes Anderson, obviously.
Yeah.
But I will say I was kind of confused. I think it is because of that going back and forth between the playwright and the play. And I personally would have benefited from it just focusing on the play rather than jumping back and forth. Especially, I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but when Willem Dafoe and they're all in that room and they're like pretending to sleep or whatever, it's like, what's happening here?
Yeah, that was this. Like all I could think was that was this. It was just jerking itself off at that point, and and it's one of the more random things that sometimes filmmakers will do. I need to come up with a term for it. Like let's call it right now. Let's just call it vague genius, right? Where if you make something a little more vague, they're more likely to be like, it doesn't make sense, so it's brilliant, you know. And this is the type of shit that I always like when I rant about hipsters. This is what I'm talking about, where it's like if I attach myself to a movie that's ineffable, it makes me seem smart, right? And that's where I don't know, without rehashing all of our OHMSS arguments, that's like mostly where I am on that. But like with this, McCurdy, at one point, all of the actors, right, who have parts in Asteroid City, but they're all just like sitting in an acting, maybe you could call it a class, I guess, but they're all sitting with the director and like a Willem Dafoe character who I guess is like a teacher, I think. And then the director comes in. So you kind of have Wes Anderson represented by three guys sitting with a cast of actors. And it's like, let's do a quick exercise. You're all going to pretend to sleep. And it's kind of quirky and fun in that moment. You can tell, like, overall, you can tell all the actors are having a really good time. And there's a reason why all these big names are signing up for tiny roles, like tiny, insignificant roles, because they just want to be a part of the fun. But then at one point, they're all chanting, I believe it was, how can you wake up if you never go to sleep? And they just keep chanting that. And all I could think was, I was just like, this is vague genius, right? Where if you just do something really weird and vague, but quirky, that people are like, it must be super meaningful. And I'm like, I don't, it lended to this movie being like, the meaning of the movie is that life is meaningless. And I'm like, yeah, that's so meh. That's such a boring premise unless you're really going to do something with it, you know? And like something like The Meaning of Life, the Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, the whole point, the whole joke is that the movie is about discovering the meaning of life without ever providing an answer. And it's just hilarious. It's just fucking funny. And then at the end, R, not Q, but R's character, or one of his characters is like, the meaning of life is, I guess, be nice to people, share when you can, he's like, try to eat healthy foods, try to not overindulge on this, and just overall try to spread joy, and that's it. You know, like the joke being that a movie literally called The Meaning of Life never answers the question because it's too busy doing all this hilarious shit, and that's the point. Whereas a movie like this is a similar premise, but it's like, again, a character literally exits the story to go talk to Wes Anderson and be like, what? I don't understand the play. What's the point? And he's like, the point is there is no point. And it's like, fuck this then. Like, it's like, again, vague genius. Just like, isn't that brilliant? And you're like, no, that's kind of a waste of time. Other than the fact that the scenes in Asteroid City are just enjoyable because it's just Wes Anderson's dry humor, which is a lot of fun. But
yeah,
if the movie would have only taken place in that arena, then it could have actually provided something. Because and so real quick, Nance, let's get into it. Other than the black and white stuff, the story going on is everybody is arriving in Asteroid City, which is in, like, you know, out west in the, like, it's like Arizona, California. It's like where they all kind of
there's
up.
like, there is an
Where
actual crater location.
Yeah,
in the
it's named Asteroid City because an asteroid 5,000 years ago crashed and made this impact crater, and it's like a roadside attraction type of thing. But then the city hosts basically a science fair for really intelligent kids, which is something that Wes Anderson is always like. Every kid in a Wes Anderson movie is precocious, like every single one of them. So they all meet up to have like a little science fair type of thing, and then during the science fair, an alien arrives and steals the famous asteroid that created this impact crater. and it leads everybody to being like, oh God, like there's a bunch of religious kids that show up, and then you have all these scientists. So you have these obvious themes of like science and religion and what's the meaning of it all. And then, you know, on top of that, you have the character asking the creator of the story what the meaning is. And the whole answer is like, there is no answer. And it sounds good on paper, and they could have really done a lot with that, especially because in the beginning, the very first thing that happens is a dad played by Jason Schwartzman, right? Jason, right?
I think it's Jason Schwartzman.
And he tells his 4 kids that their mother has been dead for, it's like, she died 3 weeks ago, and I've been afraid to tell you until now. And then it's Tom Hanks plays the father of that mother, and like he comes into the city, but meanwhile it's all these people with their precocious kids, and they're all just like once the alien thing happens, they're all stuck in Asteroid City.
But it's weird because they initially break down there, right?
No, he was towed there. He was towed there.
He was towed there. Oh.
He shows up. The first thing is he shows up in a tow truck, brings his car there, and then that's when he calls the dad. But they meant to get there.
Okay.
Someone give McCurdy a drink. You must have.
It'd be really funny if you took your drink and then just went like this, and I was like, okay, here you go.
There you go.
It'd be like that would be our little Wes Anderson moment, right?
Yeah.
You know?
In terms of the runtime of the movie as it is, the alien doesn't show up till pretty late.
It's the end of the first act.
So it's like if you remove all the back to the playwright padding and just have the Asteroid City story and have the alien encounter earlier on, I'd be more curious to see what the characters do afterwards. So, which we get a decent amount of, but we could have used more.
So then it continues where and it's in typical Wes Anderson style. It's like Act 1 scenes, you know, blank through blank.
Yeah.
And then you watch those, and then it's like Act 1 blank through blank, and then eventually 2. So and then there was an optional intermission was in there, which was kind of funny. But then so he's the alien is the end of Act 1. Act 2 is just them all stuck. Like the government has quarantined Asteroid City. Nobody can leave. And so they're all just, there's like a fun thing going on with vending machines that do bizarre things. Like you can buy real estate. One of them is just like makes martinis. So the whole time, all the adults are just like holding these little martini glasses. Like, and that's what I mean. It's quirky and fun, but I need myself some of that meaning. And again, even if the payoff is that everything's meaningless, let's really hone in on that. But all you get by the end is the main kid, who's the son of Jason Schwartzman, and he's a brainiac. He's really smart. He ends up winning the competition and all that. He's just like, I'm an atheist now because my mom died. And it's like, okay, but can we do something with that? Like, can we actually fulfill anything here? And then they just leave. And so it's an interesting structure. If you didn't have the stupid black and white stuff, the structure would be everybody shows up to Asteroid City and then they leave. And that's what I mean. It's a movie about life is about the journey, not the destination, you know, cliche. But that can work if you just focus in on that. But instead, it was so all over the place because it was unfocused. Meanwhile,
Charlie,
you're being entertained by Wes Anderson's style. But it's like, I don't give a shit because I can go watch one of his other movies that does that and has the meaning.
What is Adrian Brody's character?
He's the director of the play.
He's the director of the play.
He's the director. Yeah. So you have the playwright, Ed Norton, and then you have the director of the play. And so again, Jason Schwartzman keeps leaving the play to be like, what is this about? And he's like, am I playing he goes to the director. He's like, am I
Well, he only does that once.
Correctly. But yeah. Well, he goes to each of them once, and he's actually fucking the playwright.
Yeah, they kiss once,
fucking himself.
Random. And then we see Bryan Cranston. I don't know if you would call it a fourth wall break, but he's just like
God
for half a second.
He's the narrator, right?
But he's in the play for like a moment. And it's like, what?
Yeah. Which would have been fun if they would have done more stuff like that. So McCurdy, at one point, the Bryan Cranston he's just there, and he's like, "Oh wait, I'm not supposed to be in this, am I?" And he just walks out. Like, it's the only time you see him in color in Asteroid City. It's as if the narrator got off the microphone in the backstage and like walked out on stage and was like, "Oh God," and then just disappears.
Right.
And you're like, "Who was that?" Margot Robbie uncredited. No, she was
She's got to be credited.
She totally was.
She's got lines and everything.
Yeah, but everybody has a bit part essentially, other than like Jason Schwartzman and maybe Tom Hanks, but and Scarlett Jo, of course. But but like that, it's like I wanted to love it. I really wanted to love it, but I didn't. It's not like just to pull this up real quick. It's not like where are you? It's not like walking out of Beau Is Afraid. I was just like, my head hurt because I was so in love. Like I was like, oh, that was so good. Infinity Pool, same thing. I'm walking out just like my head is spinning because I'm like, that was fantastic. Same with Guardians and John Wick. I was fulfilled. Tetris was fun. For me, initial thoughts are that it may not even beat the Creed 3 threshold. I mean, part of me is like, I could put it above Air because Air is just kind of blah for me. Well done, I guess, but kind of blah. But it's like, on its face, because of the style, I want to give it credit, but at the same time, I'm like, but others did it. Other Wes Anderson movies,
we just don't understand it.
Yeah,
and that's why it should be number one.
No, I understood it because
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad it's not just because I'm not like you guys have actually studied film, and I'm just
what did you
an
get
average
from it,
watcher. Nothing.
I really wish McCurdy could have.
I wish I had seen this movie so I could talk about it because it sounds like something.
Are either of you big Wes Anderson fans? Like, I'm not.
I mean,
my brother is, but my brother.
Your brother's a fucking hipster.
He would be.
So
he would be a big.
No, I have most of his movies. I think I've seen all of them now. By now, I mean they do. He does have phases, much like a lot of filmmakers. As far as the auteurs go, because like there are not as many. When you think of filmmakers, even when we talk about the movies that are on this list, like when we talk about auteurs, we talk about people that pop out as their own style and they have a very distinct voice in their films. And like, there aren't that many filmmakers that do that. I think that's when you talk about being a filmmaker like myself or Charlie, it's like people aspire to be like that because you want to be like, oh, I want to have my own distinct style and voice that people can pick up on. But and he's one of the very few out now. I mean, the only other person I can think of is like, you got Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan. I gotta walk inside because it's about to rain. But you got Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan and Steven Spielberg and Scorsese and all those folks.
Can you tell just from visuals when you see one of those movies? Like Wes Anderson, you can see a frame of his movie and be like, that's Wes. Quentin, I feel like you have to see dialogue.
No, I mean, no? Quentin's style is very much like he loves to
but Nance
riff
has a
on
point.
70s cinema. And
Nance is saying you could see a still frame from a Wes Anderson movie and you're like,
right.
That's Wes Anderson. Yes, completely. Like that, I understand.
You would need to see.
You would need to hit.
Well, like there's even
else.
filmmakers that aren't even great at what they. I mean, as far as filmmakers that a lot of people don't even like Zack Snyder. I mean, you can look at a frame of his movies and instantly like that's a Zack Snyder movie based off how he does the visuals. But like not every. I guess my point is just that it's the top one, Marcy.
But I'm gonna be with you all night if you're praising the man. But I would put this, if we were just ranking Wes Anderson movies, which we fucking will someday. I'd put this near the bottom just because it's like I see what you were trying to do, but it's just like it's undercooked. It's undercooked, And why is it?
I mean, I don't know. I think when we got to who was it? We even got to Steven Soderbergh's movie, and we were like, yeah, this one's much better than Shyamalan's movie just on principle alone. Like it was just generally better movie,
better executed, and,
so
and that's
it was a better executed movie, and that's where I'm like, if I saw the movie, I would probably have a better grasp as to where you'd want to put this one. I'm just trying to point that out because I feel like even thinking about The Flash from last week, it's like, yeah, I liked the story. But yeah, it is one of the as far as execution goes, is not one of the best executed films that we've seen
Yeah,
this
it was a
run. And
mess.
it sounds like this
It's
one
a delightful mess.
sounds like this one's one of the better executed movies. But as
this
far
right
as
here,
the
this right here,
story,
I thought like maybe I got to rewatch this shit. That was the whole time I was watching it. I was like, it was like watching Gilmore Girls, where they're talking so goddamn fast that you're like, I need to rewatch this. I wish I could hit rewind and put the subtitles on because I really wish I could be taking all this in. But there's so much coming at you the whole time, where it's like, whether what people are saying or what the camera's doing or what's in the scene, where you want to read what's on all the machines or on these different billboards and everything. But I'm willing to admit that I probably need to rewatch it, just like we would with like a Bond movie, where I watch it 18 times and I take in-depth notes.
Speaking
and
of Bond,
pause and all that. Yeah.
What's his face?
Oh, Felix Leiter was one of them, where I was like, Felix, slow the fuck down. But it's thoroughly enjoyable. But if it doesn't have that central idea hooking it all together, and you're going to confuse it with, like, there was an entire scene where so the understudy of the actor who was going to play the son of Jason Schwartzman, the Brainiac guy, the whole thing is that he's on a train with Scarlett Jo, the actress, not Scarlett Jo pictured here in the play, but the actress Scarlett Jo. He shows up on a train, and she's, I guess, maybe headed to New York or wherever she's headed. I think it's New York, and looked like New York, and he's delivering messages from somebody. I was like, okay, wait, is this another
we
actor,
don't know who that was from. Okay.
Like, that's the thing. I'm like, by the time you realize what's going on, you're like, shit, I would rewind it and figure out, like, did they say who it was? But he's delivering messages, and it's a clever scene where he's like, okay, he gave me two different things. It's like, if she's pissed, read this one. If she's relaxed, read this one. And she's give them both to me, and he does. And then it's like, there's a third one. If you're chill and don't care, which you are, then I'm to give you this third option. And it's clever. Like, it's what is going on is incredibly well written, but I don't fucking care because it doesn't plug into the story at all. It's just this. Yeah. It's just self-indulgence. And that's why I was like, okay, with a movie that is by far the most Wes Anderson it's ever been, where it's like Nan said, you could take a screenshot of every fucking shot of every frame and be like, I wish that fell and we saw that you don't have pants on. And you could take, and it's like, it's just dripping in his style, which is, it's like this. If you're going to give me that plus entire scenes that mean nothing, like there's a whole scene where, and these are all the black and white ones, where the director is visited by his wife, and it's like they're divorced, and like they're just like talking about their kid or something. It's like, is this just what was going on in Wes Anderson's life when he wrote this? I like, fuck this. Fuck this. It's all for no reason. And then it's like, that's the theme of the movie, is that it's meaningless. And I'm like, I don't care. Fuck you. That's a horrible theme. That is a vague genius. Do you guys ever see Funny Games? I think Funny Games was the movie that made me start to hate movies.
No, I haven't seen that.
So it's
I know the movie. I just never seen it.
Foreign movie. It was remade. I think it was like America remade it or something. But the whole thing is it's like it's fucking with you, because it's like, okay, you come to appreciate a character and you want them to succeed, but we're going to play to that. And the whole idea is that there's a home invasion that occurs, and Naomi Watts or whatever is like, it's like these guys come in and they murder her husband and her daughter, like right in front of you. And it's just horrible. And it's like, at one point it's playing with different tropes, right? Where it's like red herrings and just all these different film tropes. At one point, she gets the best of them, and I think she actually shoots them. And then a guy literally grabs a remote and he rewinds the movie back 5 minutes so that he's then able to thwart that effort.
What
And it's
heck?
the whole point of the movie is to be like, you care so much about this woman, but we can do whatever we want. And the whole movie is just jerking off onto your face the whole time. And you're like, I hate this. I hate you for doing this. It's like, that's the point. The point is that you'll hate me for doing this. And I'm like, I don't care. I hope everybody associated with that movie gets AIDS and fucking dies horribly. Like it's, and it's like, that's the point. So with this, same thing. Like, the point of the movie is that there is no point. And I'm like, that's a shitty fucking premise. But at the same time, it's enjoyable because it's Wes Anderson. It's dripping in his style. So I like what Quabos is like, I don't care about his movies. And I'm like, then you'll fucking hate this movie. If you like his style, it puts a smile on your face. But I need both.
Yeah.
I need a cake that looks good and tastes good. I don't care about what it looks like if it tastes like shit.
Like Spider-Man.
Exactly. And
where was Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, number 10. Right now.
Spider-Man.
Which, like, to be on this list, like,
are there any other movies that like looked good or were like good, but
hey guys, I gotta interrupt. I gotta get off of here. My phone's about to die. So I will I'll guys
Good
let
luck
you
with the continued
finish
filming.
ranking. And yeah, I'll see you next week, hopefully.
Peace out, homeboy. Yeah, good luck with the movie.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye. Is he gonna remove himself? So yeah, and just FYI, McCurdy is I think he already said, but he's shooting his movie, so he's just focused on that, which is all good.
As he should be.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we're thinking that we'd probably do. It might be fun to do a live premiere of the movie on this channel because fuck it, and just for one night only. We'll just for one night only, and then we'll just delete it. You know,
that'd be cool
off of YouTube. I think that'd be fun. But yeah. So that's the thing. Spider-Man. It was like, okay, we'll put it above Shazam and Dungeons and all that. But the top 10. Everything below the top 10 is definitely flawed and missing something, and that's the thing. Like, if you're going to be on this list, it's kind of not impressive, you know. To like, you know, people will be like, "Oh, you put it really high." It's like, yeah, we put it on high on a list of movies that's not super impressive.
Yeah,
fucking Ant-Man is on here, so. You know. So anyway, my initial thought,
because I really did enjoy just the Asteroid City stuff.
Exactly.
And I like the style. It is dripping in it, and I do like his style, generally speaking. I love how everything like looks like a model.
Exactly. And his use of stop motion. Everything is like everything that is that would otherwise be CGI for any other filmmaker would just be obnoxiously shitty CGI. For him, it's quirky stop motion. It's still CGI technically, but it's stylized as stop motion, which is what I'm sure he made stuff like that back in the day, or like that's how he adds to that idea of it being kind of like staged, like practically staged. Yeah. So I appreciate the effort to for the first time, as far as I'm concerned, or as I know, to put in there. Okay, here's the because people have said for years his movies are like a staged play that is then filmed, and that's what we're getting at. Like, yeah, weird, cute little alien, or like alien. Like I think he said earlier, Huevo said earlier, like you got like little bushes that look fake, but it's like that's part of the quirk. Again, it's like a high schooler
when the alien comes down and grabs the asteroid. I didn't notice it before, but when he grabs it, it looks so much like, I don't know, like a soccer ball. And I was like, oh, the alien is just like a kid who hopped the neighbor's fence and is grabbing his frisbee or his ball. And he's just like, sorry, I'm in your yard. I'm just grabbing my ball.
You saw who played him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Jeff Goldblum. And it's like, it's fun, but I was frustrated. Like every time there was a black and white scene, I was like, okay, maybe this will escalate. But it never did. But I think the the black and white stuff was it was almost like it was shuffled, right? It was like it was purpose. This again, vague genius. If we take them out of chronological order, it suddenly becomes brilliant. I'm like, I don't know, not really. So the first one was when Jason Schwartzman shows up with a thing of ice cream, which was just like, it was just a Wes Anderson thing to do. He doesn't just show up and say, "Hey, why did my character do this or that?" He's like, "I got you this thing of ice cream that I packed in peanut shells and alfalfa, blah blah." You know, like it all eventually reads like Wes Anderson is like Chat GPT, where he's like, "Just give me random elements to give to everybody," and I think that's why actors love working with him, is because it is creative. It's like. But it's very much like I've always likened his style to a Bob Dylan song. Bob Dylan's writing style when he was really hitting the reefer is like it's like the one-eyed queen went to see the bow-legged Egyptian whose father was a blind gypsy. You know, it's like adjective noun, you know, or it's like my character's gonna have like like he's gonna have an eye patch and he's gonna, you know, it's like everybody throw in your weird little idiosyncrasies, and then that allows for vague genius, right? Like where it's like it's weird, so it's intelligent, and it is, but when it's not all wrapped up in a not neat package, but when it's not all tied together, that's when I start to go, okay, you're just doing random shit. Like it just feels like you're going to a random character generator, and it's like, again, like a Bob Dylan song. It's like, in the doe-eyed knight said to the two-legged princess, you know, you're just like, okay, dude, I get it. Like you're just, again, adjective noun. So this one was my. At first I was beaming because I'm back in Wes Anderson land, and that's fun. But then by the end, I was like, but I'm kind of disappointed in this.
Like they could have either just removed everything that wasn't Asteroid City, just give us the play as a movie, or if they're gonna do we're seeing the black and white behind the curtain, give us that in a more orderly and complete fashion, where we see it through in a production and we see everyone celebrating that the play's a hit or something. I don't know.
Like by the end of it, what didn't it end? It ended in Asteroid City. It didn't end in the meta play. It didn't end in black and white.
Yeah.
But to your point, it fucking should have.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the movie
started in black and white, right?
It started in black and white, and it should have. It could have easily ended with something that really, like, I would have been fine with it just stating the theme clearly. Like, okay, the play's over, so and you know, maybe somebody in the audience is like, "What did it mean?" And Bryan Cranston's like, "I don't know. Don't ask me." You know, like that would have at least been having fun with this whole premise of meaninglessness. You know, exactly. Like, okay, so backtracking. So when Jason Schwartzman goes to see, and yeah, SB's totally right. None of this matters because the film will be nominated for 15 awards and win all of them because artsy movie that people need to pretend to like. Exactly. It's too big to fail. It has too many big names for it not to be the greatest thing ever, whereas I'm a little more cynical about it because I'm like, you got to give me more to work with here, you know.
Yeah.
But like if this was the first movie that he ever made, people would be like, you know. But
I think the people sitting next to me walked out of it, which I was a little bit surprised by. Well, first there was two people sitting next to me. Then some guy walks in and he's like, "This is me and my wife's seat." So they moved to the front of the theater. And then the people whose actual seat it was, they ended up leaving maybe halfway through. And it's just like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah. So I like, want to reward the creativity, but I want to punish the vagueness of this. The vague genius. I want to punish that. Like,
are there have we seen any of these movies multiple times? Or have you, rather?
I saw Tetris multiple times, but that's because it was available on home video. I haven't seen any others.
It's tough. Like, what if we rewatch Asteroid City and it's like, I get it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though, is that that's always going to be an element. I save that for when we do Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah.
And it's like, we actually ranked this back in 2023, and maybe we didn't give it enough credit, but on a first watch, I think I grasp it well enough to be like, this is, again, hipsters foaming at the mouth to be like, it was the best movie ever. And it's like, okay, why? Explain to me why. Like Spider-Man, okay, like I said to McCurdy, I'm like, okay, if it's so great, explain it to me. And he's like, I can't. Maybe that's straw manning him, because he's like, it's to reiterate, he's like, well, it's about this and it's about this. And I'm like, okay, but was it really? Was it really about that stuff? Because it seems like it was just, hey, multiverse stuff, and that's all it had.
Yeah.
So,
Jessica didn't even see this movie with me. I think she could tell, it was going to be
I don't think she would have liked it. It was
She saw that Jennifer Lawrence movie instead. They happen to have like start times at the same time and similar run lengths, but that movie to me was the same thing. Like, I already know what's going to happen in that movie, and it looks stupid, but
yeah. So there are actors that weren't in this, but this
that would typically be in a Wes Anderson.
Yeah. Like the biggest one, there was no Bill Murray.
And is Tom Hanks a typical? Because I was like, I think Tom Hanks is replacing Bill Murray in this one.
I think Tom Hanks is a first, unless he was in one of the animated ones, which I don't think he is. But
yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
because it's Bill Murray in Life Aquatic's West.
Bill Murray's in a whole bunch.
Yeah,
and then, but even like, and that's what I mean. That's how that people are just chomping at the bit to be a part of it, because it must be fun, and he makes it fun by being like, here's your character, and your character is very distinct.
Yeah.
But then you have what's his name from The Office taking
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell had like a part that didn't really utilize him, though. It was just kind of like just matter of fact, and it's like, you wear a green hat. That's it.
Yeah.
But the and the Wilson brothers, like Owen Wilson and Luke Wilson, were always in. I mean, they starred in Bottle Rocket, and then I think Owen used to write with him. But
it was,
and I think that's what
to see Matt Dillon, which I haven't seen. Is it Rocketeer or something? What is it? That
is Matt Dillon the Rocketeer? I've actually never seen the Rocketeer.
I might be thinking of something completely different. I mean, he's in that the zombie movie, right?
Well, he's in many things, but
Timothy Dalton is in Rocketeer.
I think he's the bad guy. Which I think the Rocketeer is Mike Stoklas's favorite movie. So I definitely need to watch it. But what was I going to say?
I swear this Matt Dillon guy is in something where he has like a jetpack or something.
I don't know.
Wait,
but
what? I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to. Okay, what I was getting at though is that I think he typically. I know Wes Anderson is always writing. I don't know if he often is the only writer, and I think that if I'm correct about that, I think he what he needed on this was to not be the sole writer, because he put too much of himself in it. Is my main gripe, which could have worked fine, but there wasn't enough of that. Again, for the millionth time, there could have been more of that or less of that. And I think he needed. Like, I think he wrote Royal Tenenbaums with Owen Wilson, and he kind of needed that. He needed somebody to put him in check, to be like, hey, dude, why is there an entire scene that's well written, but why is there a whole scene about two of these actors on a train? Let's just not do that. In fact, let's not do any of this shit and just keep it to Asteroid City. And, okay, so what did I just saw what was it about Scorsese?
My brother and his now wife
just say? This right here. Scorsese
dressed up as Royal Tenenbaum characters for a Halloween.
Oh, really?
If that tells you anything about my brother.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is my impression of your brother. Does he still has long hair that he flicks, right?
Yeah, no, he doesn't flick it. I think that was like a high school thing.
Okay. So yeah, I've covered off on everything I have to say about this. I still am thinking that, like, I think I said that my initial thought was that, I mean, I'm tempted to put it above The Flash, below Creed. But because I know Creed is flawed. Air, Creed, everything below Tetris is flawed to a significant degree. Air, because it's meh. Part of me would put it
Is
above
that the
Air.
biggest thing with Air? Like, what are like the standout issues with Air? Like, I remember you saying with Ben Affleck character,
he's always like, policing.
Yeah,
the
let's
top
just
10.
do it. Let's just give them the percent of the shoe sales. Well, whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. Air was so matter of fact is my big thing with it. Air's like, we need to get Michael Jordan, and then it's like, we got Michael Jordan. There was no. Whereas Tetris is better because Tetris is like, it gives you those stakes of like, if this right away, it's like, if this guy fails, his whole life is in shambles. But then it not just provides the stakes, but it really pushes them to the limit to provide some tension. Where Air's like, we need to do this thing. We did it. Or it's like, by the end of the weekend, I need the best shoe that's ever been made. And the guy's like, okay. And then cut. And he's like, I did it. I made the shoe. You're like, what? And then, yeah, at the end, it's like, we need more money. And Ben Affleck is like, fuck it. Like, literally just says, fuck it. So it's just so matter of fact and whereas this movie is, God, it's just, it's not necessarily laugh out loud funny, but it makes you smile. Like the dry humor really makes you smile. A couple of times, like one time I like did my like burst out, like can't help it laugh when the Scarlett Jo character at one point is like, yeah, someday they'll find me in the bathtub surrounded by a bottle of spilled pills, and then that happens. Like the photographer character looks across from one hotel room to another, and she's laying there like this, and and I burst out laughing. But then she's alive, which I was like, no, that would have been hilarious if she would have actually been fucking dead. That would have been better than what happened. But anyway, backtracking again. So when Jason Schwartzman, the photographer, goes to see the playwright, he's asking him. He says, "Why does my character burn his hand on the griddle? Why does he
they
do
talk
that?"
about that?
Yeah, because remember when he did that, he's talking to Scarlett Jo. Because they're neighbors in Asteroid City and at the hotel or whatever, the motel. And he just randomly just burns his hand. And he asks the playwright, why does my character do that? And he says, I don't know. He just does. I just wrote it and he just does it. And that's what I mean. That's like, that it's a classic writing thing of like, you go to ask the author why they did this or that, and they'll say, I don't know. That's just what they did. I just wrote it. Again, it's the theme is that everything's meaningless. Blah, blah, blah. There's no ultimate answers to anything, which should have been the sole focus of this story that has elements of religion and science, and people, once they see an alien, they start to question why any of this is happening. And meanwhile, they're dealing with the death of their mom. Like, all the elements are there, but then we're fucking around with all this play shit. But it's just, I'm so frustrated by it because it's like, dude, you had a good thing going. Just keep yourself out of it. Save that for another fucking movie that is specifically about like make a movie again, like Fableman's. Make a movie about kids making a play. And make it about you, Wes Anderson. Do an autobiographical movie about you as a high schooler making a play, which I think Rushmore is. I think we already talked about that. But do it again. Fuck it. And really make it about yourself. Don't do it with this movie because you had this interesting thing, and then you ruined it by bogging it down with all this. So anyway, so in that scene, he asks him that. and then he delivers the dialogue, and then he takes off his pants and starts making out with the playwright. And so it's like, you know, it was just like, okay, like that like kind of pointless, you know, other than just quirky. When in doubt, just go quirky. Anyway,
what about standout Creed issues?
So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, so the thing with Creed is that it was bogged down by too many scenes with the daughter, which compared to this is negligible, right? Like you know, it's just why are we introducing young Creed S, right? Why are we doing that? Plus, they did that instead of fully fleshing out the villain character.
Okay, I was gonna say that was my recollection was an issue with the protagonist antagonist.
Yeah. So, and then the third act, the fight was just, I remember the fight just, which is very important, obviously, in a fucking Rocky Creed movie, is that the final fight be given some significance. And I remember it just being, it was just like, it's over. You know, it's like, but right when you thought it's really going to get going, it's just like, it's done, you know, because they were too busy doing all that stuff where he was kind of imagining being a kid again. And suddenly the fight became kind of like a not hyper real. That's how I describe this. What's the fucking, I don't know. My brain's not working. Where suddenly he was visualizing things. And they were like fighting as kids again, you know?
Oh yeah.
Remember? Surreal. I think that's what the word I was trying to grasp. Exactly. That, but they did that, and which was good, but then they didn't deliver. Again, he throws a final punch, and I was like, wait, you blew your load too soon. The surreal stuff was good, but it wasn't followed up by like a satisfactory final fight, which I think they did on purpose so that they could still be friends.
Yeah.
But that's not.
But
really
with you naming the issues with Air, naming the issues with Creed, they don't seem as bad as the issues with Asteroid City. So I'm seeing Asteroid City below those. I'm wondering about the Flash. I feel like there's more issues with the Flash.
I walked out
than Air Creed.
Who just said that? SB. The Flash is a rough watch. I'm going 8. Anything above that, I'm writing erotic fan fiction with you. Do that anyway. We will pay top dollar. So The Flash was a movie I walked out of being like, I actually liked that. Remember, I was excited to like a movie. I always say every week, it's like, you cynical asshole. Like,
it was mostly the CG was like bad.
Yeah, the CG was terrible, but who cares? You know, if the story is there and the story was on point. I mean, again, I fully fucking admitted that I cried in public. Like that final scene with the mom. Like where he's got sunglasses on to hide his identity, but a single tear falls down. I was like, God, that's good. That's good.
And it seems like the mom knows.
Yeah. So it's like a stupid comic book movie that has a good story, versus this that is like all style, no substance. That's really what it is all style, no substance. Some substance, but not fully realized substance. And that's what bugs me. That's why I want to punish it. I want to punish this movie for fucking around and being self-indulgent. But it's like did you have a funniest moment in this? While you're thinking, there was a moment that kind of stuck with me when the parents are just kind of standing around like trying to kill time. Again, they just keep drinking.
Yeah.
And at one point, one of the soldiers, because there's a bunch of soldiers around because there was just an alien sighting, and one of them runs over because they're launching bottles and they're shooting it with a death ray that one of the kids made. And it's Liev Schreiber, my dad.
I was going to say Liev Schreiber, right? I liked his character.
And Liev Schreiber's like, my son made this death ray. Okay, that's the sense of humor. Very dry, very matter of fact, but absurd.
I would
and
say I
fun.
was not expecting the alien, and I liked that whole there's a freaking alien here. I liked that. That same scene with ScarJo in the bathtub with the pills when she puts her head back down and it goes thong. I really liked that for some reason.
Yeah, again, it's subtle.
Yeah,
and dry, and that's his style of humor. A recurring joke was the general, he'd give an update on the situation. At one point he's like, I heard he did a nude of Midge, or I heard he's been talking to Midge, something like Midge Reynolds, whatever her name is, Scarlett Joe character.
Is it Campbell?
And Midge Campbell, and everybody be like, "Ooh, Midge Campbell." And I actually was surprised to see a fully nude Scarlett Johansson.
Oh God, everyone's going to go see this movie now. PG-13. This was PG-13.
PG-13.
That's allowed.
That was.
Is it because it was like a reflection in a mirror?
It was.
So they were like, "Nah, it's all right."
What I'm curious about is whether or not it was actually her, because then Jason Schwartzman, the photographer character, says, sometimes they do a stunt double," and I'm like, wait, I saw those titties, and I'm like, Scarlett Jo's titties are huge. Those don't look the same. So I was like, maybe that was like a little meta joke, where she, in fact, had Wes Anderson brought in a smaller tittied stunt double to do that. But let's see, Asteroid City is,
or what else did I think was funny?
Where's the rating?
He has his wife's ashes in a Tupperware, and it's labeled 1 of 3, but we never see the other 2, and it's just like. That's one of those rewatch things. Same with every time we see him developing photos, you see 2 behind him on the drying rack. And a lot of the time, or I would have to rewatch it again, but you're trying to draw similarities between you see Midge Campbell and the alien pictures, and they're it's kind of similar shots, but it's clearly something is being said here. I don't know.
Okay, wait.
A lot of people had guns, which I don't know if that was because it's supposed to be the 50s or something, but just a lot of people had guns.
It's got to be better than top 10, maybe.
Oh, I like that kid's song of the alien.
On a deeper level, the movie's literally about mind control. Yeah. Okay, wait. He's been saying this a lot tonight. The movie's about mind control. How is it about
mind control?
Please, Huevos.
You would think one of the kids would have invented a mind control device if it was about mind control.
Yeah, these people are minds controlled on the space tip. What is happening? But does it always need to be dry? Are you talking about sex again, SB? Nowadays, the UFO shit is in the news. This was planned to come out now. It's about the characters and how they're mad, retarded to the truth. This is like a rewatch in 2. Huevos, are you drinking? I what is this? Broadgen Lorma went night. Huevos, are you fucked up?
This is what he does on Sundays. He drinks with us. He watches us. He buys our merch, unlike anyone else.
To Huevos, who someday we're gonna use your rap song about us for something. I was greatly honored to hear that shit. It's like nobody's ever.
Is it already out?
Well, he sent it. Oh yeah, he says he's drunk. He sent it, but yeah, okay, Nico.
He made it already?
Well, yeah, I sent it to you.
Him rapping about us?
Yeah. We'll have to play it. Nico, didn't see this yet. Is it worth a watch? I would say yes, but as a Wes Anderson fan, I'm disappointed. Just to kind of wrap that up in a phrase.
See it?
Big Wes Anderson fan, even though, again, there's always a part of me that hates him because hipsters love it so much. Like I love his movies, but I wish he didn't provide so much hipster fodder for them to be like, yeah, my favorite filmmaker is Wes Anderson because I'm smart. And you're like, no, you're an idiot asshole. You're an idiot asshole. Stop pretending to be smart just because of the movies you like or whatever. Maybe I'm guilty of the same. I don't know. I also like comic book movies, so
I'm flicking through.
I'm just honest. I can be honest. I can watch something that's pretending to be genius, and I can be like, nope, fuck you. This is vague genius. I'm coining that fucking term, vague genius.
Playing in my theater right now is The Flash, Elemental, which I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
No Hard Feelings, which is the Jennifer Lawrence movie, Spider-Man, Transformers, Little Mermaid, Asteroid City, The Blackening, The Boogeyman, which I was curious to watch
Why are you
because of
reading
the
this?
trailers. I'm just gonna say, of the movies that are out now, I feel like you go into a Wes Anderson movie, you know what you're gonna get, and you pretty much get it.
Yeah.
More or less.
Nico, we don't really give anything away. I would just watch the beginning of this episode if you missed it. Just again, it's like, yeah, it's I said in my intro, it's probably the most Wes Anderson movie in existence. In my
stylistically,
view. Stylistically, it's just like
not necessarily storytelling wise.
For the style, because it's dripping in his fucking style, and he put himself in it. So it's like
not literally.
It's super wet. Yes, it's super. He put himself in it.
He's not in it.
He is the playwright.
Is a character in it.
He's the playwright and the director. Like that is an obvious stand-in for him, right?
Yeah.
For one of his characters to step out of the story and be like, "Hey, what is this about?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just wrote it." You know. So like that's an interesting idea that wasn't fully. That's why I keep saying the black and white stuff there should have been more of it or none of it.
Yeah.
More of it or none of it. Like we actually should have had something going on with
I feel like we don't get much of a plot. We get a plot, but I don't know. It's like especially the ending is like
right here.
Fairly weak.
It's the same with Nolan being like, OHMSS is great because it's vague genius, right? But when you nitpick it, you're like, yeah, but if it's so fucking great, then what about this? What about that? And it's like, no, it's the best thing ever. Like, no, objectively, it is so fucking flawed. You can like the ski scenes and the setting and all that, but when it comes down to the Bond character, and I say this in Quantum because McCurdy is always like, nobody likes Golden Gun, and I'm like, dude, more people like Golden Gun. The Golden Gun are like the silent majority, right? They don't talk about it much, but us Golden Gunners, we fucking love that movie, and there's a lot of us. The fucking OHMSS people are the not silent majority. They are not silent minority, I think, where it's just like you would think it was the best movie ever, and then you watch it and you're like, okay, this is heavily flawed, specifically because of the Bond character. I think Golden Gun is a better Bond character movie than OHMSS, where he's constantly breaking character. Constantly breaking character for
Bond
no
is
fucking
back
reason.
Into the 23 series.
Hey, what? Oh,
Bond
yeah.
is...
Yeah, it'll always be inherently...
Couple more weeks, people.
Yeah. Which on that note, we plan on shooting Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die back to back, and I'm just going to try to crank them out before the end of the year because I know he said it about Quantum, but we don't need to go on for 6 hours about those three.
I do.
Okay. Well, okay.
I have so much to say.
We'll make sure that you do that. Okay, so jumping back into it. I walked out of The Flash liking it, even though it's a mess. Fast X, fucking enjoyable. Part of me wants to put it at number 10 because I think on its face it's better than Spider-Man. Just in terms of like vaguely having something to say is better than Spider-Man having nothing to say.
Clearly, Wes Anderson cares about what he makes.
Yes. So
I don't know if you could say that about Spider-Man, which is purely a billion artists and CG people.
Yeah.
Fast X.
Here, Nance, talk more about
because Fast X is just a fast movie. As much as I love him, like how much can we really
say what you got to say? I can't think until I empty my bladder. So go ahead.
I have nothing to say. Oh God, he's leaving me with you people. Yeah, I mean, so Nico, are you still in here? Did you say you're a big fan of Wes? I'm not. I can't say I am. I'm not a fan of Wes, but I feel like you go into this movie and you know what to expect with Wes Anderson. You get that in terms of style. You absolutely get that. And we don't go too far into it in this review, so definitely like watch this whole review, and I don't think you'll get huge fan. Dang. And you haven't seen this movie yet. Are you a hipster, Nico? I have seen Wes Anderson movies. And that, they're pretty clear cut. That you got your plot, you have a beginning, middle, and an end. This movie is just like a convoluted mess of you have the playwright and scenes about him making this play, and then we watch the play Asteroid City, and they're cutting back and forth, and it's just kind of confusing. And again, I came into this review worried that I was going to be the only one confused because I haven't studied film like these other guys. But luckily, Charlie agrees. Yeah, huevos. Maybe I have. I don't know. I know you were working on one, and I was excited for the integration into the show, but I don't know if I've heard it yet. Because there's no video or anything, right? It's just an audio. Because I don't know if I've seen it. Anyway, Charlie's back, but
I don't know if I could upload it.
Apparently, Nico is a
now and
huge
play it.
fan of Wes Anderson.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, dude. Yeah. Me too. Other than hipster.
Are you? Okay.
Other than, like I said, love his movies.
Other than hipster.
Hate that he's constantly providing hipster fodder. I'm watching it and I'm
Is
like,
it his fault though?
The question is he a hipster or not? And I think he's kind of a hipster by default. But he deserves it. He deserves to have that. The problem with hipsters is that if hipsters were actually real, if they were legitimate, then it's like, okay, you're deserving of it. Like if they're actually like intellectuals, the problem with hipsters is that they are for the most part, they're pseudo intellectuals. They attach themselves to things that are refined in an effort to be like, well, I'm refined too, because I listen to vinyl and I smoke tobacco out of a pipe. I'm such a hipster. I'm so refined. And you're like, dude, just because you went to Goodwill and bought a bunch of old clothes and smoke out of a pipe, that doesn't mean you're refined. You're just an asshole who's searching for an identity. That's the stereotype of a hipster. People who actually are those things and can actually back it up. Like if somebody could take a movie like this, any kind of hipster
those people
movie,
are badass,
and defend it and actually use their words to be like, this is why it's great, then I'd be like, okay, you've defeated me, hipster. But if you're just saying, oh no, it's so good, it's so awesome, Secret Service is the best Bond movie ever, and you go, okay, why? And they're like, I'm like, then you're a fucking hipster. Not the real hipster, which I would call an intellectual, just not even hipster, intellectual. A pseudo-intellectual is a hipster in my book. That's why I fucking can't. The more we talk about Secret Service, the more I it's hard for me to be objective about Secret Service because the more I hear people wax poetic about it, the more I'm like, you know what? Maybe it does fucking suck. Maybe it sucks, but then my objectivity doesn't allow me to say it sucks because it has some merit.
So I'm looking at his filmography right now, and I have not watched much of his stuff. I have seen Grand Budapest, which I liked, Asteroid City, and the Darjeeling Limited, I believe I saw.
Okay.
I might have seen parts of Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I haven't seen much of his stuff. But the Grand Budapest is really good, right?
SB, you're in LA.
Am I being
know that?
Dumb for thinking that?
Okay, wait. Okay. Nico, I've been tempted tonight to bring up PTA. I love PTA, but he is probably the most guilty when it comes to vague genius. Because I'll read PTA's scripts.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Paul Thomas Anderson. He made one of the best movies of all time. Somebody said recently that it sucks. There Will Be Blood, I think, is one of the best movies of all time. Somebody in Discord said it sucks, and I'm like, that's one of those where you watch it 15 million times, and maybe you need to in order to totally understand it.
I
Maybe the
wanted
first time
to. I
people
was
hate it.
curious about his licorice pizza movie that was a couple years ago.
I didn't see that either. I think over COVID I just blacked out.
Yeah.
I was mostly doing this. But what I was getting at is that I'll read his scripts. I'll read PTA's scripts and then I'll watch his movies. And he does a thing where it's very all the questions are answered in the script. And then it's like in the final cut, he'll remove a certain element that makes it more vague, hence the term vague genius. Oh, it's vague, so it's super creative and genius. And I swear he does that to me. It's like, if I make it more mysterious, that makes it just seems smarter. It's something you feel more than is certain and locked down. Whereas for me, I'm like, no, make it more certain. Don't make it this vague genius thing. And he, just like Wes Anderson, he does a really good job of bringing you into an imagined world that you like being there. I like being in this place.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times though, he cuts out of it too soon to where you're like, no, I want more. I want more. That feels incomplete. And I think that's his thing. I think he wants it to be incomplete because it's vague genius. It's like, if I keep it a little more vague, then, or if I just end prematurely, it's brilliant.
Going
PTA,
back to you doing this, he wants to leave you with blue balls.
Yeah. And I fucking love PTA, but he's very frustrating. He's a very fucking frustrating filmmaker, where sometimes I think he doesn't even understand his own movies. And I think that's like, again, vague genius. I can't say it enough. Whereas other filmmakers are more exact. They're more like, it's famously PTA and Tarantino are good buddies, and they're always kind of they're copying each other and chasing each other and all that. And yeah, dude, yeah, Huevos, like I love PTA, but he can be very frustrating. But Boogie Nights is the shit. The Master has that vague genius when what's his name is singing "I Want to Get You on a Slow Boat to China," and I'm like, shut up, shut the fuck up. Like again, oh, it's so quirky and weird and out of left field, isn't it brilliant? No, it's stupid. There Will Be Blood though is the shit. Like, There Will Be Blood is so fucking. That is for me top 5 American. Like, for sure. I have a list somewhere of top 5 American, and There Will Be Blood, I think, is number 5. But I don't know, Nans. I keep putting off ranking this because it's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same zone as you.
Yeah,
I struggle with Fast now. Like, I think it is below Air and Creed after your covering of the issues with those.
Yeah.
The Flash and Fast X. It's definitely above Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I
think so. Again,
I almost feel like you have to give this one credit over Fast X because it's more of like a artsy thing than it is just like cars and explosions. As much as I love the Fast series,
but it has a central theme, and that central theme is
this
family.
one was
family.
Every other movie on this list is about family.
This whole 2020.
This one's about
either we're living in like an exceptional year, or movies are just usually about family, whether we think about it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, every fucking movie on this list has at least a touch of the theme of family, which is hilarious. Including the one at the top there is about overbearing mothers
with 9 or 10. He was right.
9 or 10. And yeah, I like, again,
he's got the
Air,
zone right.
I part of me wants to put it above Air because Air is so just matter of fact, but then I'm like,
at least it's a complete movie,
Anderson, for your that black and white shit. Like, rule of thumb, black and white shit sucks, and the color stuff is great. How can you wake up if you never go to sleep? How can you wake up if you never go to sleep? I was like, shut up. Shut up.
Is the Asteroid City?
Like, it does. What does it all mean? It's brilliant. It means like whatever, man. It's like commercialism putting us to sleep, man. So like you're not like a perfect little wage slave, man. No, it was stupid. It was stupid. That was
the Asteroid City story complete, and it's just like the play stuff that's not so complete.
if you would have taken the black and white stuff out. First of all, give me a fan edit that just takes out the black and white stuff, and you have a pretty good goddamn movie.
It'd
right?
be short though.
But it'd be shorter. It'd maybe be like an hour and I don't know, like maybe it'd be like 75 minutes, maybe. But instead, because the movie I think is it's like an hour 45, I think. If you took all that black and white screen time and converted that into more reflections on what's the answer, science or religion, that would be that would at least be interesting. Whereas
I really like this stuff with Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson. I feel like we could have seen more of that. We got a good amount, but I would have liked to seen more of that.
That didn't really conclude, right?
And then like
she's gone.
And then at some point, everyone's just gone, and he's just like, "Okay, I guess it's time to leave."
And that's when he goes to see Margot Robbie, and the whole scene with Margot Robbie, I was like, "What's the point of this?"
She did a good job, but I don't know what the point was.
Yeah, I'm like, what? And that's what I mean. Maybe in a rewatch, but like you should be able to understand it on a first watch. Maybe not completely, but you should be able to be like. That
get the main beats.
Watching fucking The Flash the first time, it's like you get it. It's a story about letting go of the past, and I think that was well executed, even though it's a stupid comic book movie. That's why I could easily put it below The Flash. Even though The Flash
Jason Schwartzman's kid, they have like this. They have all these not satellites, but like receivers or whatever, and there's some code, and he's like, maybe it's a date, and he says it's always today. And the alien comes, and then he comes again, and it's like it feels like there's something there, and either we're not grasping it or they don't do good enough of a job of expressing what the point is.
Who plays the alien makes that joke of like, yeah, I play him as a metaphor, which is a joke, and it's funny, but at the same time, I'm like, I could have done without that. I mean, literally a fan edit, getting rid of all the black and white stuff. You'd be like, this is good. It's maybe incomplete, but I just can't get over that. I can't get over how incomplete it feels because it's fucking around. It wastes so much goddamn time for no reason.
So I want more of the ScarJo relationship. I want more of like the kids and other people dealing with the fact that there's an alien and maybe there's no God and what this all means.
Yeah.
And then is there anything else that could have been fleshed out more? Because like it makes sense that like
all of it,
because we don't need to see Jason Schwartzman and ScarJo like dating and all that crap, obviously. He says he's like toying with the idea of abandoning his kids kind of with grandpa, but he's like not really.
He's like, I thought about it, but it would have been short term anyway, So
I don't know where you end it.
I can't put it any better than take the running time of the black and white and just use that to further develop all these characters interacting in the city.
Yeah.
And you have a stylistic, very stylistic movie that's fun, very dry sense of humor. But again, the whole premise is everybody shows up and then they all leave. And in the interim, you have these elements of these very religious people, Tom Hanks's character, or the kids that show up, and the first thing they do is pray for, like, thank you, God, for letting me find things in my Cracker Jack box and all that.
Why were they there?
Just a lot of people showed up for the science fair, I guess. They're just young kids who were there to to watch, but not be a part of the science fair. And then you have like whole scenes where all the really smart brainiac kids are, they're playing that game where they're sitting around naming names of people, and it's a memorization game. And it's like, I would have appreciated stuff like that more if that was all the movie was just everybody killing time in Asteroid City. But I just can't get over how they just kept fucking about in this meta.
Yeah, like everyone comes together for a silly, weird little science fair. Something crazy happens, the alien shows up, and then they're all just like, what does it mean?
Yeah. Okay, like if the black and white stuff was limited to the opening
and the end
and the end, which they didn't even do, which doesn't make any fucking sense. But the opening and the end, and maybe have Bryan Cranston just like pop up in full color throughout the whole thing to provide exposition, like, because overall though, if you got rid of all the color stuff, if you got rid of all the black and white stuff and just had the color stuff, I could have seen, instead of Tom Hanks, I could have seen Bryan Cranston just being that dad character instead.
Yeah,
just because Bryan Cranston's the shit, but maybe have Tom Hanks do something else. But I don't know. I'm just, the more I saw this 2 days ago, and the more yesterday. Jesus, I saw it yesterday, and I'm just like, the more I thought about it, because I just sat for hours on end, just like wrapping my head around it, and I'm just like, I'm frustrated with this fucking movie because I wanted to love it. I wanted to, but I walked out of The Flash being like, I thought I'd hate it, and I really enjoyed it, So
yeah.
So
below Flash,
I think
below Air, below Creed, below Flash.
I think we're above or below
above
Fast
Spider-Man
X at this point.
Yeah.
Fast X. Let's talk about that briefly. What was Fast X?
Family,
so
cars.
You have a ridiculous bad guy, who is it's a revenge thing for him, and he's like a total psychopath, and he's having a lot of fun being a bad guy. It's like Jason Momoa trying to be the Joker.
Yeah.
You have same old really crazy ass action scenes. But I don't know. I think
Nico would put Asteroid City above Fast X.
My gut.
Fast X is a complete fast movie. Like, you go into Fast, you know what you're gonna get, you get it. With this movie, you go in, you have a decent idea of what you're gonna be looking at. You don't get so much plot. You leave wanting
just
more.
FYI, I like this, Huevos. Huevos thinks we should all unite to make a movie together. I'm for it. McCurdy's shooting one in Indiana right now. Okay, but Huevos, what would you say? Why would you put this below Fast X? I think Momoa alone makes the film watchable from my point of view, but it's still just filler.
Yeah, I love the fast movies, but I know it's like Transformers. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So but
it's a complete movie, whereas this one, a complete movie.
This was our conclusion, that Fast X was good, but it's definitely not like a list topper of the Fast movies themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of times what I'll fall back on is how I feel exiting. Again, walking out of Beau Is Afraid, I was just like, oh my God. Like I was, that was a 3-hour movie that I felt like I was ravaged. Like it was like the movie grabbed me by the ass and just raped the shit out of me. Where I was just like, thank you, Daddy. Like that was that.
Watching Beau Is Afraid, I felt like that one guy that's going, help me.
So, but anyway, that's the top. Fast X is like, they're both stylistic movies, but maybe Fast X has even more substance than this has. Like that, that maybe that is enough.
Yeah.
Best Fast movie is Speed. Dude, I just rewatched Speed. Speed is so good.
Why did you rewatch Speed?
Because when I'm rowing, I need a energetic movie on, so I only watch energetic movies. And Fast X is Moonraker 3. Okay, like I don't know if we even said this on the stream, but one of my favorite moments, Jason Momoa out of nowhere is like, you didn't think that I was still one step ahead of you, but I've got 2 semis on either side of this dam, and I'm gonna have them drive into you on a suicide mission. Maybe they were piloted by drones or something, or maybe they're drones. But it's like we're gonna just and he's like I took your family and I took your this and I took your that and he's like, you made one mistake. You never took my car. and I'm like, that is so on point. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And those are those high moments where you don't get those high moments out of a Wes Anderson movie necessarily. You get a lot of dry awkwardness, and that's the point. That's like the style. And God damn, I mean, if we were talking about Grand Budapest Hotel, I'd be like, yeah, this is number one on this list. Like that's number one. But this one is just part of me really enjoys it. Had a good time. The other part is disappointed that bad decisions were made. So okay, Asteroid Kevra says well wait, did you, or yeah, he saw the Flash.
Maybe I didn't see it.
Covered it with it. But he didn't see Asteroid City. I don't know, SB. Maybe because Beau Is Afraid is so goddamn good. But like Budapest has that delicious style.
Yeah, and Infinity Pool's stupid.
You need both. Like again, I'm making that point with when we talk about Sky. I'm been watching Skyfall and I've been getting my thoughts together on that. And I do think Skyfall is a lot of style over substance. A lot.
I'm excited for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, me too. So this movie, same thing. It's a lot of style over substance, even though there is substance.
Yeah.
And we're weighing it up against a Fast and Furious movie,
which is
Fast
bad.
And Furious movie.
That's probably bad for Wes, right?
Like it's almost like on principle alone, we should put it above Fast X.
I feel like that's what I'm kind of leaning on, is like on principle, but I don't know if beyond principle it should be. It's tough.
Asked me to watch Quantum last night, dude. I'm so
good. Everyone watch Quantum.
I'm so willing
not in the
to be in the
Discord.
minority on this debate. Like I see so much merit in Quantum.
It's not rough. What is he talking about?
I mean, is it rough in the storytelling or is it rough in the presentation or both? But and then Thomas, Quantum, as of right now, Quantum will premiere Friday, July 14th.
Should we give Asteroid City the benefit of the doubt?
What, that upon rewatch, it's fucking brilliant and everything.
Maybe not brilliant, but maybe more cohesive. I don't. It's hard. It's like a shot in the dark. I don't know.
We know where we want to put it. It's above or below Fast X. It's like Fast X though.
This Asteroid City, I need to rewatch.
God, if it was just the Asteroid City stuff, this would be so easy. But it's so fucking bugged. Like, okay, I'll say this: Fast X doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have anything bogging it down. It's not like, every time we cut to Jason Momoa, it was so terrible. This, every time we went to black and white, I was like, this is well written, I guess. But like,
I wasn't bored during the black and white, but I was confused.
Exactly. Where you're like, why are we doing this? Why are we not back in Asteroid City? Where
Asteroid City, I need and
colorful.
Wouldn't be upset about rewatching. Fast X, I don't know if I'm going to rewatch it. I'd rather put in Tokyo Drift or the first one or the second one.
Sure. Fast X knows what it wants to be.
5.
I love how we're covering this and Quantum at the same time. Okay. We talk for 45 minutes about the fucking editing in Quantum. And I'm in the minority. I like the editing. There are times that we go into vast fucking detail about times where the editing is bad, but for the most part, I like fast editing. And maybe it's just because I'm an editor, but I like the that presentation is it demands your attention, and that's kind of what I like about it. Is like especially opening where you're just trying to catch all the things going on. I don't know. I like it, but it's not like we put Quantum anywhere near Casino, and that's the point.
What would you put higher, Quantum or Asteroid City?
Good question. Good question. Probably Quantum. Quantum has more to say. It has clear themes that it makes good on throughout the film. Whereas Asteroid City is like, again, it's hard to parse Asteroid City out from its filmmaker.
And now everyone's just talking about Quantum.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you guys are going to have fun on mid-July whenever it comes out.
Wait, there's fast editing and there's too much fast editing. The editing during the first chase during the horse race is dog shit. Thomas, I make the point, rather.
I don't even remember
that
a horse chase.
Well, of course
Horse
you do.
race.
It's right at the beginning of the movie, and Bond is chasing that Mitchell dude. Yeah, in Quantum. And they keep cutting to the horse race. And my whole thing is that I'm fine with the cutting to the horse race.
He's not in the race.
They take it one step too far, which is not good. But then the whole chase, though, is unmotivated because I'm like, why is Mitchell running away? Why didn't Mitchell Mitchell has a gun. Just turn and shoot Bond. Just turn, like, Bond may or may not have a gun, but Mitchell has a gun out, and he could just turn around and just shoot Bond in the face. Why doesn't he do that? Those are the things I don't like. I don't give a fuck about the cutting in the horse race. I think the horse race is clever until they cut to it too many times.
When you say blow, what does he mean?
Yeah. Do you mean blow like you're going to suck us off? Because the Quantum episode is going to be awesome. The Quantum episode, I'm more than willing to be the villain of that episode. McCurdy was the villain of Casino.
You're the villain of episode. Oh, that's true. That's true.
I'm the villain this time.
I'm the Switzerland of every episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, Asteroid City and Fast X.
I know. I'm purposely talking about Quantum because I don't want to decide this because I'm fighting it out in my brain.
You got a coin near you?
Yeah, Kevra, I think you said you haven't seen the movie since then, right? You should give it a rewatch. Give it a rewatch, and then join us on July 14th. And if you still hate it, is Quantum your OHMSS? I'm so. Yes, we actually equate the movie to Secret Service quite a bit, or we relate Secret Service quite a bit. But I'm the guy who approaches things. I like to think I approach them objectively. Like, here are the merits. Here are the merits. And then McCurdy comes in with the emotion, right? Where McCurdy's like, yeah, I know you're intellectualizing it, but at the same time, I don't give a shit. And I'm like, yeah, but why don't you give a shit? Because it has this to say, And he's like, yeah, when Bond cries. I like when Bond cries. Some male feminist. Women can never do any wrong. Okay, so this or Fast and Furious? I'm going to stop looking at comments so we can decide this. I can't help but think that on principle it deserves to be above. But then I also hate this movie for certain decisions it made, and that's why I want to punish it by putting it below a really enjoyable Fast and Furious movie that is over the top and ridiculous. And that's the point, right?
But I think I'd rather rewatch Asteroid City. It has me at least curious to try to figure it out.
But
because it's not clear, which is
beyond
not
it
good.
Being a bit of a mystery, why exactly should that be the determining factor of
it shouldn't
Fast and Furious 10 versus a Wes Anderson movie? It's funny to even say.
Yeah, I don't know. It shouldn't be.
All right, any of you watching, can you anybody have a hook,
the movie?
a determining factor?
Charlie loves his hooks.
For why one should be. Yeah, I need a hook, man. I need a hook. I can't just be, I feel this way. I leave that to McCurdy because he's a giveaway.
Is anyone saying anything? Nope.
If you put Fast X, your favorite filler
Let's put
action
it below
movie,
Fast
you
then,
out
above Spider-Man. I
City,
feel
you're
like
favoring because the
it
movie
makes
is
sense to
artsy.
compare this
Yes.
one to Spider-Man, right?
Yes, we are favoring it because it is artsy, and it's like on the one hand, that kind of effort is enough to elevate it.
Yeah.
It's like did it fulfill its central purpose? Oh, the point of the movie is that there is no purpose. Yeah, that sucks. I don't like that. That's a cop out, and that's obnoxious. So why isn't Paul Walker in the Fast movies anymore?
He's just doing something else.
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
He took a separate path according to Fate of the Furious.
They should just say he's. They can't say that. I don't know.
This almost ended up being our shortest episode ever, but now it's going to be the longest because we can't make up our goddamn minds about where this fucking movie goes.
Whether this is better or worse than Fast.
Yeah. I
think
I'm going to put it
Fast
this way
above
again.
Spider-Man. I would have no problems with.
That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah,
that's honestly where I'm leaning because I can't help but keep thinking about every fucking time we cut to black and white, it led to nothing. It led to nothing. Versus
it had me
like
curious.
Jason Momoa kind of carrying Fast X. And also having little Brian, and little Brian's going off on an adventure with John Cena, and
John Cena's pretty cool.
Like all that stuff was fun, and then
body.
Asteroid City was just like
Mustang.
Not a disappointment, but borderline disappointment. Again, I just want the fan edit that cuts out all the black and white shit.
You could do that. That'd be easy. It sounds like.
Yeah, Lars von Trier's artsy too doesn't mean it's. And then that's the thing. It's not like. When I say on principle, what I mean is you have, like, what's an example here? What's an example where, Magic Mike. Magic Mike, we were like, on principle, it's a better executed movie that has more to say than like Plane or Knock at the Cabin. But it's kind of a poor example because Magic Mike is so fucking low. But I think that's also lends to how we try to be as objective as possible, where it's like, Magic Mike's so deep. No, you're a stripper movie. Act like it. And you didn't, and that's why fuck you.
I want to see some gyrating and dongs.
No joke, like for sure. So, but that's where my gut is, Nance. And I think we backed up the gut with words below Fast X, above Spider-Man, where it's like it's not just that it's artsy; it is enjoyable. Like it's just like Wes Anderson's style is enjoyable. Plus, the dry humor it's all very enjoyable. Again,
but it leaves you with questions and a bad taste in your mouth.
Like, the soldier and the dad are like he's pointing a death ray at him and he's pointing a gun at him, and there's like one of my favorite moments was when right after the alien sighting, the government's there and they're questioning everybody, and they're questioning the Asian kid. I can't remember his name, but he's like, yeah, then the alien did this. He's like, the alleged alien, and like they're grilling this little kid, and then meanwhile the Liev Schreiber is like wrestling with his son. Like that's where it's like you can tell that everybody signed from the millionth time. Everybody signs up for these movies because it must be so fun to make, especially because the execution of every take. I would love to see how many they do, because not only does it require incredible memorization on the actors' parts, but the execution of the way the camera has to move. And the camera's going from one group of people to the next. And so everybody has to hit their mark perfectly. And like, for me personally, that's what I love about filmmaking, is that the first take always sucks and everybody's always confused and they ask a lot of questions. And as the director, you have to just answer all of those. But what you're doing is you're playing a video game. You're playing the level, and then your character dies. Something fell apart and everything sucks. So you start back at the beginning, you do another take, and you get a little bit better, and everybody starts to they start to jive a little bit better, and then eventually you fucking nail it. And I'm curious on a movie like this, how many takes did, like the scene I just described, how many takes did that require? But on the other hand, none of that matters. All that matters is how the movie is delivered to the audience in the theater at the end of the day. So I'm impressed by those things, but that's not enough for me if I feel like the story was lacking,
Yeah. For me, it boils down to like Fast. You leave the theater with a good taste in your mouth. In this movie, you're like, that was pretty good, but that's a weird kind of foreign flavor. I don't know if I like that. I got to figure that one out.
Yeah. And so that's okay, SB's asking what makes Fast X better. SB, weren't you saying top 10 is bullshit?
Shut up, SB.
Where did you are you shaking? Are you like walking that back?
When I go to Kroger and I'm picking out candy to sneak into the movie theater, Fast X is my Sour Patch Kids. I go for the Sour Patch Kids. I grab them, I eat them, and I'm like, dang, I like Sour Patch Kids. And Wes Anderson is like, I went to a weird international market and I see a candy and I'm like, I'm going to try that. And I eat it and it's like, that's pretty good. There's some weird flavors that I'm not used to that I don't think I don't think I like that.
Yeah.
That's a weird aftertaste too.
It's like having an
hell
ice
is that?
cream with two different flavors in it, and one of them is awesome, and the other one is kind of ruining the awesome one. Like I can't say it enough times that the fucking black and white scenes were just I can't think of a single moment from the black and white scenes that was valuable. Not one.
It's like rum raisin ice cream. Rum raisin keeps coming up because
I've never had rum raisin.
I don't know if I have, but I'm assuming I would like the rummy ice cream, and then the raisin, I'd be like, get the shit out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, I like half of this, and I don't like the other half.
You're trying to be cool and creative, throw raisins in my ice cream. Get that crap.
Whereas Fast X had like a more kind of complete beginning to end. I mean, part of me, the snooty part is like, rum. Well, this is Wes Anderson we're talking about, but I'm like, yeah,
I bet I would.
Yeah. So
I like sour stuff. You got sour candy, sour fruity stuff, or Snickers.
So I think I'm good with below Fast X.
Yeah.
I mean, Fast X ended on a cliffhanger, right? It's just like everybody's dead.
Like a literal cliffhanger. Like he drove off a dam, and then the dam exploded, and he was like, "My muscles is gonna protect us from this water."
Yeah.
And that's the last time. Everyone else crashed in a plane. They're alive, obviously.
I just love.
Nobody's ever really gone.
Yeah, I just love that you made one mistake. You never took my car. That was so fucking funny.
Where's Haribo? I love Haribo.
I think I can do it. There haven't been 10 Fast movies. It was all a memory plant. Walker just served me at Subway. What the fuck?
There've been a lot of Subway commercials lately.
Yeah.
I don't know what memory plant served me at Subway.
Again, this movie's all about mind control, according to Huevos, who I think Huevos may have passed out.
Blacked out.
I think he finally, he blacked out and passed out. Oh, I could do it, Nans. I could put it below Fast X, which is hilarious, but I could totally do it.
I'm totally fine with that.
I think walking out of Fast X, my whole.
I want McCurdy to watch. Hopefully, McCurdy has time to watch this movie and next week's movie before next week's episode, and he can come in and rant.
Yeah. And this is why you guys are wrong. But
I can't back up Transformers. Maybe he can back up Asteroid City. I don't know. Yeah,
but you got to be able to do it with your words and not be like, yeah, hipster, I like it, and that means I'm smart. And you're like, okay, prove it. I can't.
Why did that police chase keep driving through the town? Like 3-4 times it drove through. What was that?
Yeah, what does that mean? Or even why the purpose of the atom bomb tests going on? Like, that's what I mean.
As far as I could
black
tell,
and
no
white
purpose
stuff,
to that?
you could focus in on that stuff. But remember, Nance, remember the principle of vague genius.
Yeah,
it's vague, so it's really smart. You just don't understand it. it's ineffable. You just don't understand life. OHMSS is the best Bond movie ever because like you just don't get it because like it's ineffable. Shut the fuck up, you hipster fucks.
Yeah, or like the issue with their cars, like
yeah, make a better movie than Wes Anderson. If we were talking about any of his other movies, any of them, I mean, I'm serious. I think this might be his worst movie, and I wish it wasn't so, but I think it is. What is worse than this? And I can't say.
I can't say. I've only seen.
I would
a
need
couple.
to rewatch all of them. I would need to rewatch all of them.
And Nico hasn't seen this one yet, right?
I would need to rewatch all of them and painstakingly rank them over the course of 2 to 3 years.
Nico, tell us quickly, what is your least favorite Wes Anderson? And if you can briefly summarize.
And why?
Why?
Next week we are scheduled to do.
It's not Mission Impossible time yet.
No Hard Feelings. Is that the J Law? No, next week should be Indiana Jones, right?
Maybe.
Oh yeah. Next week is
soon.
Indiana Jones, which I am absolutely fucking rewatching those movies because that's not hard to do. You know.
Are you doing that this week?
I'm watching Temple of Doom and enjoying my life.
I was gonna say I'm gonna take like all of next week off, so
sweet.
But you already watched them all, I guess.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, June 30. Oppenheimer not till July 21.
Nans, do we dare lock this in? Do we dare put a Wes Anderson movie below a Fast and Furious movie? I say we fucking do it.
Screw it.
Fuck you, Wes. I love you, but fuck you. Stop putting yourself in the movie.
Oh, wait. We could also see Teenage Kraken instead of Indiana Jones.
Teenage Kraken. We're doing it just above Spiderman. Just above Spiderman, Nans. I do look forward to seeing what McCurdy says. Be like, best movie ever. It's fake genius. So fake, so it's brilliant. All right. Cocaine Bear, Knights of the Zodiac. We are at 28. We are halfway through the year, everybody. Halfway through the year. You got to keep pulling this list out here.
Yeah, I guess so.
You guys are going to have a fit with that one. Which one? Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
I hope not. You know, I have hope that it'll be after the last one. Maybe they'll
better than Crystal
pull
Skull?
their heads out. Yeah, like maybe they pull their heads out of their asses. But then again, we are living in a really terrible age of movies.
What if we put Indiana Jones below Fast X?
Wouldn't think twice. Wouldn't think twice. I mean, let's imagine right now where it might end up. Maybe first glance, maybe that's where it ends up.
Above Megan, below Dungeons.
There you go.
Right between Megan and Missing somehow.
Yeah. All right. Do any of you motherfuckers have any last minute shit to say about Asteroid City hitting number 10? Anybody have any argument that could sway us to put it above that?
I just figured out what makes this movie actually genius, but it's going to take me 2 hours to explain.
Oh, we don't have time for that.
Okay. Well, then the below Fast is fine then.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Okay. I think I've covered everything, and we hit our contractual 2 hours. That isn't
just
real.
About.
So.
After the toast.
Asteroid City, let me see those titties. Okay, the toast wise, it's
gotta be. I mean, we just.
I want you guys to be brutally honest. That's all that at least myself. That's all I know how to do, SB. That's all I know how to do. That's why nobody likes me. It's because I'm constant. I see a fat person and I'm like, you're fat. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell you. That's the truth. And then they're like, that's mean. And I'm like, is it? Is it mean?
It's true.
Is it mean? I'm fat if I don't run. Like after this weekend, I'm fucking fat. I'm gonna start running tomorrow. Run and roll my fucking ass off.
Dude, it's so hot out though.
That's what it takes. Yeah. Okay. So Here's my thought, Nance.
Mm.
Let me bring us back to this screen. I mean, I'm good. I'm like dragging my feet.
Are you good?
But I feel
You
good
seem like
about
you're
this.
not good.
No, I feel good about this.
All right.
I think that's where it goes. Like better than, fuck you, Spider-Man, and everything below is like, okay, but I walked out of Fast X being like, yeah. My whole review
That was a fast movie.
Yeah, my whole review was like, that was good, but this better be the end. Like this better be where it's like fast, better be slowing down and ending, and like the next movie should be the last one.
Aren't they doing 2 more? I don't know. I honestly
Whatever
don't
they
know.
do, they should be. This should
But
be
I
the
hope
beginning
this
of the
is
end.
the end of these characters.
Yeah. Whereas I wanted more out of the characters of Asteroid City.
Whereas
Anyway.
Mission Impossible, I'd be fine if they kept going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it depends. I really think that Tom Cruise is trying to kill himself on camera to make the best movie ever. I think he wants that. He's like, this is the one where I die. It's like, dude, you're in heaven. You're already dead.
Scientologists would figure out how to bring him back.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my thought for the toast, right? Because I couldn't think of a single person. So my thought is Asteroid City itself, the setting, was the best part of this movie.
Why aren't we toasting to Wes?
Because he fucked up by including all that black and white shit in this fucking movie. And the best...
We only toast to the director if he makes a decent movie that we're ranking.
Yes. The best part of this movie is not the black and white shit or any individual character, but the setting itself. Asteroid City, everything that happens in that is the best part of this movie.
I wanted to know why there was an unfinished highway overpass or whatever that was.
Because it's quirky. That's the thing. It's quirky.
Yeah, but...
that's the whole point, always.
Asteroid City is quirky.
Yeah. It had all that trademark quirk, including... and he said that in the beginning. Remember, he laid out, like, the playwright, he gives... he lays out the setting, and then that's when later, like, I almost would have appreciated if...
And we see exactly that, and I was like, oh, it's nice, it's cute.
Exactly.
One pump gas station.
He talked about all of it. He talks about he's like, one pump gas station. He talks about it, and then later we see it. The camera is just kind of spinning around, showing us Asteroid City. And I'm like, maybe it was maybe they thought it was too obvious, but I would have appreciated if it would have just been the black and white stuff, and then just cut to the camera showing as Ed Norton's character, the playwright, is talking about all of it. Put it over that scene of the camera going around the city, showing us everything. Like that would have at least anchored us in the story. But instead, the way that they presented it was more confusing. Again,
2 separate things.
Exactly. Black and white in the beginning, black and white at the end, everything in between in color, and it's laid out to us where he's like, yeah, there's the gas station, and there's the unfinished highway, and there's the asteroid crater, and all these things. And we would have been like, oh, this all makes sense. And then we would have followed the story, and then it would have gone back to black and white at the end for some kind of wrap up. Maybe that would have been too much like his previous movies, and that's what he was trying to avoid. But I'm like, dude, no, you had a good thing going. That's what you should have done. That was the brilliant shit. But you bogged your own fucking movie down with all these useless, stupid scenes about the director and his wife, and about 2 of the actors on a train, and all this stuff that I'm like, yeah, it's well written, but fuck you. I'm just annoyed. We're putting you below a Fast and Furious movie because you fucked up. You self-indulgent piece of shit. I love you.
So we're toasting to the good part of the movie,
which is Asteroid City itself. Somebody out there, other than me, because I don't have time, make a fan edit where everything I just described is what it is. The movie begins with black and white. As the playwright is talking about the setting, we're going around Asteroid City in color, and then maybe put a black and white at the end and make a better movie than what we got here, because I'm disappointed, but obviously I'm torn, but fuck you. We're putting you below Fast X. Bitch! Nancy, you have anything else to say?
No.
Ed Norton is awesome. Thank you, Mr. Kananga. That is true. Anyway, the toast of the night is going to go to Asteroid City, the best part of this movie by far. Wish we had more of you. Nance, did you already kill your drink? Okay, well, to Asteroid City. Good night.